Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Manic Energy. I'm Ryan Swore, and today I'm joined by Katie Brooks. I'm Ryan Swore, and this is Manic Energy, a podcast that dives into the fast-moving world of energy, business, and the people powering it all. From bold ideas to real-world innovation, we're talking breakthroughs, market moves, and the community shaping what's next. Whether you're building for the future or just here for the fun, welcome to the chaos. So Katie, normally you're in the couch seat, but today you're actually in the hot seat.
Hot seat.
Yeah. And so it dawned on us that we've done many episodes now, and I've gotten to give my background and let everybody hear about who I am and done probably my fair share of talking. And you've sort of been the voice I call it the voice of reason, I think I'll say.
The voice in the background.
The voice,
kinda.
well, the voice of reason. I like that better.
Okay.
But today we'll give everyone your origin story. Everybody needs a good origin story, right?
Origin story.
So today, I'm just excited to interview you and let our viewers and listeners hear about your background, so they'll have a better idea of who you are and the questions you ask and the
what
heat
I'm doing
you bring,
here,
what you're doing here, why you're here. I'm excited to hear about your vision for the podcast and what you'd like to accomplish, and so let's just dig into it. If you don't mind, give everybody a sense of your background. Maybe starting with education, early working career, and then no secret that you and I work together at Lake Superior Consulting. You're our marketing director today.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you get there?
Wild ride. So I'm not going to go back too far, but I'll start with coming to Duluth. Maybe I went to the College of St. Scholastica and went there with not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, really. Just had to start somewhere, started going to classes. I think at one point I thought I wanted to go into nursing, but math and science, not really my strong suit or where my passion lies. But I wanted to be connected to people, and I thought that was an obvious route to take, but again, not natural for me. So as I was taking classes, I kind of stumbled upon marketing. And at Scholastica at that time, they didn't have like a true marketing major, so I had to create something of my own. So I had a major in public relations and then a minor in art. So then I could kind of exercise that part of my brain because I had a lot of interest in art and visually pleasing elements. But
marketing, you could almost say, is the art of public relations, right?
I guess. Yes. Yep. So it was. I got to take a lot of classes in business. A lot are in public relations, and then obviously advertising. But then I feel like I got a really well-rounded education there with the graphic design part. And I do use that on a daily basis. And I have used that throughout my career, which has been fun. And I know in a lot of organizations, marketing, you can go down several different tunnels, if you will. But I've found myself to get involved in organizations that allows me to wear a number of hats where I can use both sides of my brain in that way, the business side, but then also the artistic side. And I find that to be really fulfilling for me, my interests. But anyways, so after I left Scholastica, I got an internship back home in the cities for a retail packaging company that moved me out to Neenah, Wisconsin, where I knew no one. And it was just kind of an adventure, but I stayed there for 4 years, got to do a lot in trade shows and work really closely with their sales team, which I really liked because then you got to go behind the scenes on some of the strategy and really partner with that group. And through that time there, we went through a couple different acquisitions. There was a ton of growth, a really exciting time to be at that organization. But my personal life brought me back to Duluth here. And I ended up working in the marketing group at a local hospital and danced around a bit trying to figure out where I wanted to be in Duluth, where I felt I was part of the community, but also fulfilling my aspirations professionally as well. So moved around a bit and then luckily found myself at Lake Superior Consulting 6 years ago by referral. So I was in a comfy spot in the community at a different organization, but it was time to kind of push myself a little bit more and find a different avenue for growth. So here I am at Lake Superior Consulting, again, 6 years in, and now the director of marketing, which is super exciting.
And podcast co-host.
Yes, which is new. And again, pushing myself. It's not a comfortable thing, but it's exciting.
It's good to get uncomfortable.
It is good to get uncomfortable. A lot of times, you don't make decisions to just continue to be comfortable. Like, what do you get out of that? You got to push yourself, just send yourself off the edge and see what happens.
I agree.
Yep.
Has the family all acclimated now to you being on a podcast? They've given you a hard time well enough for it?
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of keep it behind the curtain. It's really, I don't know. It's not embarrassing, but I just don't. I don't know. I like being behind the scenes.
Yeah, I know. That's why today is so awesome for you.
Right.
Let's get you uncomfortable.
Yep.
Let's talk about your background. So
yep.
You mentioned one thing about the graphic design.
Yep.
And, I'd carry it a step further and just conveyance of messages.
Mm-hmm.
You've helped elevate us so much. Just a little bit of props here I'll give you. So often our PowerPoint format, ways we communicated as an organization, I didn't even know how bad they were until you and there was others involved
yes.
as well, joined and helped elevate the profile, where it's not just making it look nice, it's actually completely transforming the message that you tell or the story that you tell. Mm-hmm. It's been so powerful and helpful. And I think you have a real knack for taking something where it's like, I don't even try to get that message right now. I just try to work on the words. Mm-hmm. And then I know I could spend, like, there's been times, and I'm just thinking predominantly PowerPoint because we work so much in it, where it's like, I could probably spend an hour on this slide and not really get it to do what I want it to do. And meanwhile, I'm talking, we're in a meeting, I'm saying what I think or what I'd like to say. And I look back and the screen share, and you've already done it. It's done. 2 minutes later, I'm like, yeah, that's not what I meant, but it's 10 times better. So there's a lot of power in that, and you are really good at it. So it's cool that it's cool that you like doing that too, because I think it's really powerful stuff for our organization.
I do really like that. And I think, going back to even as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, I wanted to be connected to people. I took a lot of communications classes. I like the psychology. And then there's a lot of that I see in marketing or graphic design, the communicating to whoever your audience might be, but taking whatever those complex messages might be and simplifying them so that your audience can pick up on them, in a snapshot. Mm-hmm. But that's another thing that taking that interest that I have with communication, and then also, giving kudos to Anne, who was, was my boss previously. I learned a lot from her on the storytelling. So pairing the complex messages with the storytelling, I think that's really got us pretty far with LSC and how we're connecting to our clients or potential clients. Another thing that I still find very interesting, and I think I always will while I'm at LSC, there's a lot for me to learn, a lot that I don't understand, but I almost consider that kind of it gives me a superpower of sorts, because then I can ask the questions. I am naturally curious, but trying to understand what the goal is, the technical side, but then being able to kind of pare it down to simplify that message.
Is there more beyond that from a marketing perspective in terms of connecting with market? Maybe even just not the communication, the messaging, but how would you define the role of marketing for somebody who maybe hasn't worked with a marketing team or understand what they do? And we don't necessarily offer this as a service, right?
Right.
So we're not out selling marketing services, just to be, for full transparency to our listeners. But there is still that role of connecting with a market. So what is marketing from your perspective?
So from my perspective and in the different roles that I've had, I think it's a little bit unique to every organization. A lot of it has to do with the strategy of the business and an alignment there between marketing and then what the business strategy is, and kind of paving the way for the business to ultimately, succeed or reach their goals. But understanding what that is. So, perhaps it's like in this scenario here, reaching our audience, telling the story that we have, but understanding what the client's needs are, and then coming up with, what our message is that connects to them. But also understanding the different personas. Everyone that, works with us, they have a different audience, from our field technicians to, our CAD designers, whoever they're talking to, it's a different decision maker. So understanding what their concerns are or their needs are, it's a different message.
I hadn't thought about those personas previously until a few years ago when the marketing team introduced them. But it made so much sense when you start looking at your typical customer or buckets of typical customers and then what their objectives are, how they're measured on success. And once you start thinking about that critically, it's like, wow, they are really different. And sometimes it's overall budget, sometimes it's safety, sometimes it's quality, sometimes it's, they have to get a certain amount of work done on a certain schedule, and sometimes it's all of the above.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost customizing a message. I mean, it is customizing a message for the purpose and the audience, but then also having your mainstay message of who you are as an organization as well. So that drilling down a little bit deeper.
So anything you've seen from us evolving over the years, or
a ton?
What would you say you're most proud of in that respect?
I feel like when I started 6 years ago, and Anne was fairly new herself, but
very experienced, but new to the organization.
Yes, exactly. She had started a rebrand, and I entered when just like basically I think the logo had been established and a couple of other things. So when I jumped on, we had a lot of collateral work. Our PowerPoint decks needed to be updated, but we really started setting the stage for the storytelling. And we've come a long way. And I think that it's been met internally with some resistance or not understanding the value in it. But I really do think that over the last couple of years, we've been laying some foundational work where we've experienced some wins, and we've got some believers, and people are starting to really truly understand the value in putting your value forward and using the customer's voice in that way.
And right now, where we're at in that journey is it's something that you probably spend a lot of time on is website rehabilitation or launching a brand new website. Did you ever think that you were going to create and launch a website? And I know we're using some partners external to the company for that, but what has your experience been there, and any advice for somebody that might be thinking about starting their own website?
Well, I don't, we've got a good partner in our vendor. When I first came on 6 years ago, Anne and I, mostly Anne though, whipped together the current LSC site in 6 weeks, which was insane. But a lot of it is the content writing, telling the story, making sure that you're recognizing what maybe our customers' pain points are, and then answering that with how we bring value and how we can help them out, help solve those problems. But this time around, it's been a really interesting exercise paired with our business planning sessions, because we've talked about focus and our value. So really taking kind of the notes from all of the other business units and making sure that it's woven in there and our story is there as well. It's been it's been a really good experience, and I just feel like there's a lot more alignment here now than I've experienced ever. People see the value in understanding our value in our services. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it does. It's interesting, especially as a consulting firm, oftentimes it's easy to lose sight of where you can have the greatest impact. And we just try to do more and more. We want to hire more people. We want to grow. We want to have a greater impact on the communities we serve, the customers we serve. And we want to have more people trained, build more careers. But sometimes the path to get there isn't sort of grabbing at everything. It's really being like a succinct and coordinated effort towards what it is you really think you can make an impact at, or the biggest way you can drive that growth. And sometimes you have to ignore some of the opportunities so that, because they can be distractions on the road to what your real opportunity is. So yeah, it's been really fun to sit through that strategic planning exercise and think about, all right, what is the voice of customer? What do our customers really need? Why would they hire us?
It's true strategy.
Yeah, it's true strategy.
Yeah.
And then what are the things we should do? Because when you feel left on your own, people sit there and say, well, this bothers me, that bothers me. We got to fix this. We've got to improve that. But maybe you don't. Maybe if that's not the real value that you're bringing to market, you don't have to focus on those things. Instead, you should change how you're approaching the problem and just think outside of the box or get rid of the box, I think, as we were saying. So it's going to take some time probably to see the fall through benefit of all that effort in those exercises, but it's already led to action. So I really appreciate you bringing it up and talking about it. Obviously, I spent a significant part of my time in that day to day or week to week.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to see it reflected on the website and when we get there.
We'll see it there. And I feel like that paired with the excitement and the understanding around the value, we're connecting and collaborating with other business units to pull together the stories. They're in the day-to-day. So we really rely on them to help us, take those stories and kind of translate it into, I guess, content, which you could see on LinkedIn, maybe the podcast someday, but also our website, just to really highlight our people and, the work that they're doing.
What do you think Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah.
I know I'm not sure exactly when this episode will be released, but this is our first recording of the 2026 season.
Yeah.
And so if you had to say, how far away do you think you are from, hitting that publish button and being live on the lsconsulting.com?
Less than a month.
Less than a month. All right.
Maybe 3 weeks.
All right. So
3 weeks to 4 weeks.
You
So
heard it here early to mid-February.
Yep. I just got to get through this month. That's what I keep telling myself.
Be able to breathe again at that point.
Yep.
So when it comes to the podcast, what do you hope to accomplish? And I know that kind of, I might have asked and I wouldn't say coerced, but I don't think you're too excited to be in front of the camera and speaking. But that being said, I do know that you formed some of your own visions. And what does success look like to you, as we continue down this journey of Manic Energy?
We've had a lot of conversations about what we want to see here. And I think we've touched on, the communities in which we serve and how we collaborate with other businesses or contribute or partner, what have you. And then the energy, the industry that we work in, and then business topics. I am excited to kind of, for me personally, to kind of find a little bit more comfort in my voice to participate in those conversations a little bit more. I think because I see my role sitting here as, maybe keeping things on track, but also representing maybe the audience that we don't already have, but that don't know some of the technical, things that you're talking about. So asking the questions to kind of bring everyone else up to speed.
I mean, that's such a great point. And I love that because part of our goal with Manic Energy is not just to reach people who already know about our industry that we predominantly serve. It's not exclusively, but mostly, the energy delivery industry. It's really to educate people who don't know anything about it. And I think to bring that audience in, we have to have a broader set of topics like marketing.
Sure.
Like business development, like entrepreneurial type topics, that healthcare or health insurance. Some of the ones we've already had that hopefully broaden the message and bring in that audience that says, "Hey, I'm here to just learn about business, or your take on business, but I might learn something about energy in the meantime." Sometimes I struggle with what questions to ask, and I kind of like jump to, and I understand what that is.
Yeah.
And I think you've been really, really beneficial or really helpful, is the wrong word, impactful, to come in and say, well, wait a minute, let's back up a little bit. Can you explain that part of it? Because that's not as evident as you might think it is to somebody who isn't part of the industry. I think that's really critical. So I liked hearing you say that.
Yeah, I think, obviously this is new to us, but I think there's just so much more we can do though. And, building that confidence and then expanding our audience and this subject matter that we talk about. I think there's a lot we can do and a lot to say. And I do like the aspect of bringing kind of the personality into it, we're doing that on our website through our content. We want to elevate our SMEs, and really bring people forward. I think this is another opportunity to do that. We'll have other guests that are other individuals within our organization outside of it, but I think they all end up being fairly well-rounded conversations, touching on their subject, that they're experts in, but also who they are as people.
I love that.
And contributions that they make or business, advice.
And it's interesting, and maybe before I get into it, I'll ask your perspective on it. So we haven't talked a lot about success measures, right? What does success look like for the show? I certainly have some thoughts around that of my own, but I'd love to, put it out there in Foreverland. We can always refer back to this in the future and say, wow, we were thinking too big or we were thinking so small. But we've committed to doing this, right? This isn't, if somebody was hoping to see us quit, they're going to have to be disappointed because, we committed on the front end. Like, listen, this won't work if we just do it, try it, and see limited results and then walk away. So I think you and I are committed for the long haul and probably many years of this. From your perspective, what does success look like? What do you think good looks like? What would you aim? Because we haven't spent much time in that zone.
We haven't. And we haven't talked about, I think there are two different ways to look at it. I think that we have to be honest with ourselves, and there's something for us in this, and then there's something for maybe LSC in it. There's something for the broader audience, the educational. But so depending on what avenue you want to go down, I think personally, I'd like to learn more. This is me jumping off of a ledge and throwing myself into something that's not naturally comfortable. So I want to learn more. I want to grow. As far as the podcast itself, I think, obviously more numbers would be great. But I mean, people genuinely coming back, wanting to listen, finding interest in the people we bring on or the topics we talk about. I think, obviously numbers will reflect that. We're going to have to do this for a long time to really see the growth or the interest. I'd like there to be some sort of interaction with, whoever the audience might be over the several years. I think interactions will really be telling, but just general interest and excitement from us and then potential, audience members.
I like that. And I mean, I said in episode 1, the objective for me is educate, inspire, and entertain, or the objectives.
But what about for you though?
That applies to me.
Okay.
Like I want to be, it really is why we have the show in the first place. Yep. And it probably didn't occur to me till you were talking there that I'm actually one of those people. Like I want to draw inspiration from the people we interview, from our audience members, but I also want to be educated while I'm here, and I want to have some fun doing it, or other people won't either. And it was hard because at first it felt like work, and now I feel like I'm getting to the point where it's feeling like fun.
Yeah.
Recording day, I'm thinking about it the weekend ahead of time, or I'm thinking about it several days in advance, looking forward to it, planning it out. I'm also excited for I probably have in my head anyway and we've got a pretty good list of plan that's, let's call it a decent plan that isn't necessarily strategic quite yet.
Yep.
I think there's layers of strategy built into it, but I mean, I would say from my perspective, the next 15 episodes are already designed. That's 15 hours of content planned. And at least on our current cadence, 30 weeks or more than half a year of stuff that we've got planned.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to bring that for people and bring that forward because there's some very interesting, you said SME, subject matter experts, some really interesting people that, we'll hopefully have on the show that can share that breadth of knowledge and entertain people and motivate them or inspire them, like we say. So I'm excited to then maybe not just that, but what's after that? That's what we have right now. I don't know what I don't know. There are unknown unknowns of what guests might emerge. We had one guest on, Luke Wilkins, who introduced us to Ivor.
Dick
Stoneburner, and Ivor Ralul and Dick Stoneburner. And I thought that was awesome. I never would have met those folks. And I'm sure they brought in people that we never would have connected with otherwise. And so building relationships in ways we otherwise wouldn't have is what I'm probably really excited about. And then you hit the other thing that I was going to mention, which is audience engagement. We haven't had much. I've seen a couple maybe comments on like Spotify or here and there, and mostly positive, and people are being pretty nice to us so far.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm looking forward to a bit more of that. I think. I don't know that I am looking forward to that, but I think I am. So I like that you touched on that as well.
Yeah, I think. I mean, as long as we are excited about our roles here, and then I think that, and we're true to ourselves and asking genuine questions, I feel like it's going to hit someone. Mm-hmm. Someone will find relevance to it. And
even if they don't, like you said, we're already out of our comfort zone and growing as a result of doing this. So that's winning already.
Yep. Yeah.
So anything that you wanted to say or cover, I got to say that, I don't know about you, but I get a hard time from my nieces and nephews and my kids for not bringing them up yet. So I'm going to maybe take a moment, sort of break the wall and say, shout out to my children, Marin and Elias. So they deserve that. And then probably hit on a few, nieces and nephews, Olivia, Raina, and Liam.
Are they listening? Like,
sometimes. I think I might have said it on a show already, but my daughter, I caught her listening to the episode. And did I say this already? I told the story. I don't know if we were on air, but I walked into my daughter's room and she had her Kindle in her hand and she had her headphones on. And I kind of like peeked around the shoulder and I saw myself and she's watching the show. And I was like, are you watching Manic Energy right now?
Did you have to turn around right away out?
I was like, I was kind of like, I was definitely blushing a little bit. She's like, I'm catching up. And also, Daddy, you said a bad word. I was like, So she's 8. So she's like, you're not supposed to swear like that. You probably shouldn't say that. I was like, well, I don't remember doing it. Okay. So I really got to watch myself. But I wanted to say hi to them. And so
that's awesome.
Sorry for the break for everybody else is here for education, but that's important to me too. So I wanted to make sure I said it. How about you?
I'm pretty sure my kids aren't listening to this unless they pick up my phone, but maybe a little test for Riley, whether or not, if he brings this up, if he's still tuning in.
If your husband's listening or not.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I know that he was the first couple of episodes, but I'm not sure if we still have them.
You're still going?
Yeah. No.
Well, any questions you had for me or things you wanted to cover? I think it's really good to give people a little bit of background. So far, like you said, you've been the voice of reason. And we never really did a great introduction in the front end, but I think became evident that you deserved more airtime directly. And I know you didn't want it, but it's important.
And I'm challenging myself to like just jump in a little bit more and do a better job representing, the audience members who might not know exactly what's being referenced or talked about in any specific conversation, but no, I'm excited to keep it rolling and find some consistency and I don't know, getting more comfortable.
Yeah
I'm excited.
Same here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
Appreciate everything you do
to be here.
for me and for the show and for our listeners and viewers.
Wasn't so bad.
Yeah, good. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of Manic Energy, where the only constant is change. If you're fired up, do us a solid. Follow the show, leave a quick review, or send it to a friend. Got questions, ideas, or a topic you want us to dig into? Drop us a line at the link in the show description. Thanks for riding the current with us. Until next time, stay charged.